Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Bright Now, a Phoenix Suns fan podcast where we talk about the Valley's favorite team and news around the NBA. Whew. I'm Dash, and as always, we got my man, the automatic Trail 3 bucket, TJ, on the pod and in person. What a special treat we have. And I just want to say, boy, is it a day to meet... Boy, is it a day to not only be a Phoenix Suns fan, but a fan of the NBA in general. Isn't that right?
No, I mean, I couldn't have put it better myself. You know, first of all, glad to be here live and in person, straight from the Valley.
Woo!
So, you know, just a beautiful day to be a Suns fan like always. But, you know, what's really been on my mind lately is we're in the heat of the NFL season. You know, it just wrapped up week 4. Got a bunch of big news coming in and out. But the story that's dominated NFL media is a pop star.
The hell?
Taylor Swift dominating the NFL market. Meanwhile, an offseason NBA trade has just dominated the sports news cycle for the last few days. And that just shows the growth of the NBA, how powerful this league is, how much this resonates with the people and sports fans alike. The NBA is really, you know, it's a 12-month sport now. And I don't think we could have said that when we were growing up as Suns fans. And so it's a beautiful thing to see the NBA to dominate the NFL, even if it was just for a few hours there.
No, absolutely. And I think you see it not only, like you said, in sports media, but you're going to bars out here, you're going to restaurants, you hear people talking about it at your workplace. You know, Damian Lillard is changing the landscape of the NBA, in my opinion. Right off the bat, we're going to go ahead and talk about it. We got the full trade details a couple days ago. It shook up the league. So now we got some time to let the dust settle down. And I kind of just want to go straight into it. I mean, with Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, where do we start? We got Damian Lillard coming down at the top, crossing half court, able to shoot threes right away.
Always in range.
And then we have someone like a setting man screens like Giannis Antetokounmpo out there. What the hell do you do in the pick and roll? And I know I'm not inventing the wheel here, talking about the same shit as everybody else, but is Damian Lillard actually the main focus on this offense, would you say?
I mean, it's got to be the best pick and roll since Nash and Amari, right?
Has to be for sure.
It's going to be dominate. It's going to be impossible to guard. You can't go under the screen or else Damian Lillard's going to shoot it. Like we said, crosses half court. You got to be on that guy. If you fight over it, he's got the speed to blow right by you, and then you have the best roll man in the league in Giannis. For sure, and there was some videos from Thinking Basketball that actually showed a lot of similarities because Dame's obviously super comfortable in the pick and roll scenario. We saw he was one of the highest pick and roll usage guys in the league. I think it's going to be a beautiful sight. There were some similarities with Jrue Holiday and the actions that he was going in with Giannis. I mean, the lob threat's always going to be there, and Damian Lillard, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because we will be touching on it later, but he didn't really have a lob threat with our guy, Jusef Nurkic. So it's going to be a great sight to see the athleticism. And then, like I was speaking about the offensive aspect of this, I think it's going to even affect the defense even more. Well, especially with the accolades that Giannis can get this season, I think that a Defensive Player of the Year candidacy is real this year. How do you feel? Would you put money on him? I mean, he's got to be the favorite. You know, haven't checked the odds today or as of late, but that defense in Milwaukee was probably the best in the league last year with guys like, you know, Jrue Holiday, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. I mean, Brook Lopez finishing near the top in Defensive Player of the Year voting. It's going to be, you know, up to Giannis to really take a step up this year with, you know, Jrue Holiday being gone. You're bringing in the magical offensive powers and prowess of Damian Lillard, but you know that he's not the same player on the defensive end that Jrue Holiday is. I know I'm not breaking news when I say that, but there's, you know, all the Twitter montages, you guys see him just as much as I do, of Damian Lillard not being Jrue Holiday on defense, but he sure is a hell of a lot better on offense, and it's just going to be, I mean, it's going to be a sight to see. I'm definitely going to be locked in that game 1 with Milwaukee.
Yeah, being always compared to the revolving door joke around Damian Lillard, I think we actually might see some more defensive effort on this side because, being honest, even in just regular pickup games, I mean, do you play hard-nosed defense when you're not winning? When motherfuckers don't want to show up and you're the only one scoring buckets, averaging 33 points a game? Are you exerting your energy on defense?
No, and I mean, you know, I definitely hear the point there, and you know, like you said, Dame hasn't really had maybe the extra motivation to play defense on these Portland Trailblazer squads. Obviously, you know, we're not expecting him to step in here and be, you know, Marcus Smart on defense. It's not going to be that big of a leap. But just even, just a little extra competitiveness. I mean, you talk to coaches, that's one of the biggest things that comes with, being a solid defensive player. It's the will and the want to, get to the right spots, knowing the rotations, communicating with your teammates. And I think, being in a winning culture that it seems like Milwaukee is really built over there. I mean, Brook Lopez defends, Giannis defends, Chris Middleton defends. Whoever their fifth starter is going to be, they're going to be playing their ass off on defense, whether it's, Pat Connaughton or whoever. They're going to be putting forth that effort, and it's going to be, almost peer pressure Dame into being a better defensive presence.
I think that's a great way to put it. Peer pressuring Dame into being good at defense. And these guys are also known for getting stops in crucial moments. And that kind of takes me to my other point is going to be the fourth quarter aspect with this team is going to be absolutely fucking absurd. Starting off with Damian Lillard. Game time, fourth quarter. This is where he thrives, where he lives, as he has two of the most optically pleasing game winners we've ever seen in playoff settings, not just in regular season. I mean, we've seen it tons and tons with that, but specifically in the playoffs, these guys have Damian Lillard, Chris Middleton, who has time over and over again, crushing my personal Phoenix Suns, double teamed jumpers in fucking Mikal Bridges' mouth. It's a disgusting sight to see. And then we see someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo getting 50 points in a game-clinching Game 6, shooting, 17 for 19 from the free throw line. I'd call that pretty fucking clutch in my opinion. I wouldn't call Brook Lopez necessarily the most clutch player in the world. I mean, knock down free throws when needed, but shit, when you got three options, that should be more than enough, right?
Yeah, no, totally with you there as well. I mean, Damian Lillard is, like we said, he's built for the crunch time. That's where his game, really flourishes the most overall. And it's really been the glaring issue of the Bucks the last few years is not when the game slows down in the playoffs, not having somebody that can just go one-on-one and go get you a bucket with, 5 seconds left on the shot clock, 3 seconds left. I mean, we see all the Giannis jokes about, hey, Giannis doesn't have a bag, whatever that means, guys.
Run and dunk wins games. Run and dunks win games.
When you're playing like Giannis, you don't need to, be doing hezzy tween fadeaway jumpers when you can just jump over everybody in the league at the rim. So it's really going to be an upgrade for the Bucks. And so, the question, like we said, it's just going to be on the defensive end with them.
I agree. Going into that transitioning, with that style of play from Giannis Antetokounmpo, some of the questions that I do have is how his play style will evolve over time. This kind of leads me into my next question with what do you, TJ, think is going to be the window for this team? I mean, Damian Lillard is 33 years old. Don't quote me on this. I believe Giannis is either 28 or 29 in his play style. Like I said, who knows if the three strides from half court dunking the ball is going to last until his early 30s or mid 30s and probably not to his later 30s unless he wants to evolve a 14-foot jumper. But where do you see this window at?
Yeah, I mean, these windows in the NBA close really quickly. We saw it happen to those, James Harden Rockets teams. There was only, you only get so many shots at the title, right? And, with Giannis, you'd like to think that he's going to be able to do this for a really long time. But the closest, the only person that we've seen that athletic to do it for that long has been LeBron. And, I don't want to start the Giannis to LeBron comparisons. But who knows?
You don't?
But who knows if that's going to be sustainable for him? I mean, we saw him this summer, working out with Hakeem Olajuwon. We've seen a lot of players turn to that once they realize, hey, maybe taking a step back athletically. We saw Dwight Howard do it. Maybe didn't work out so well for him, but we also know Giannis is a different level of worker than Dwight Howard ever was. And so, if he can really develop that old school kind of back to the basket game, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, post-ups don't win games anymore. And no, bad post-ups don't win games. But if you can get to your spot on the block, catch the ball and make your move quickly and decisively, I think you're going to be able to, still win games with Giannis. And, and we still got quite a few more years of him being able to, like you said, 3 steps from half court, Euro around whoever's at the rim, and then just flush it with both hands. And that's where, the window's going to be tight, put it at, 2 to 3 years that they'll really have this chance. We'll see how Damian Lillard ages. He is a shooter, but who knows how long that, like, the athleticism and those kind of quick twitch things can last. So kind of in the same position that the Suns are in currently. They're in kind of championship or bust mode.
1000%. I mean, does 33 scare you with Damian Lillard? Does the number 33, his age, scare you at all, Tyler?
It doesn't scare me this year, but it scares me a few years from now. I mean, we know he's locked up under contract for the next few years, so they're going to have him available. It just depends on, can they put the right supplemental pieces around them to really maximize what they can do.
I think that's a great way of putting it. And I just wanted to end off this Dame trade section telling the people, and I know you said you don't want to go there. I am more than willing to go there, guys. I'll keep it a buck. I'm a closeted Giannis Antetokounmpo fan. I don't know if it's closeted anymore. I mean, look at the channel. Got a few.
You're out in the open. I think you're out.
I'm a little flamboyant for Giannis Antetokounmpo, okay? But Giannis's path, and hear me out, Giannis's path for being on the same echelon as LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is still intact. And it might sound crazy right now, but we were on that path when he won his first championship at 26 years old, having his key mark moments in games already, having himself a championship, a finals MVP, a defensive player of the year. There's not a ton of guys who've done that. And the guys that have is Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, which is phenomenal company to be in. So all I'm saying is we're back on track. I think Damian Lillard can go ahead and push that, have that Robin, have that Scottie Pippen, have that Kyrie Irving type-esque help to go along with it, that Dwayne Wade help. I'm really excited to see what Giannis's future looks like. And ending off with that trade, I like to transition into the other blockbuster trade. And yes, I'm using the word blockbuster. Jrue Holiday fucking deserves it. He's on the seas. How do you feel about it right away? First initial thoughts. What went through your head?
Fear. It was fear. In our last episode, we talked about the Celtics being kind of the prime matchup for the Suns in terms of just position by position. You go down the list and they match up really well against each other. And they might have taken the edge here. I know, Bradley Beal's a better offensive player than Jrue Holiday, but Jrue Holiday is way better on the defensive end.
League's better
than Bradley Beal, right?
I agree.
And so, you expected the Celtics to take a step back defensively with Marcus Smart being gone. And then is there a better person that you could have picked to replace Marcus Smart on that team?
Absolutely not. He's exactly what you want out of Marcus Smart, if we're being completely honest, right?
And for him to basically fall out of the sky. I mean, the day before he got traded, he's talking to Milwaukee media saying that he wants to be there the rest of his career.
Yep.
So you have no idea that this guy's going to become available. As soon as he does, the Celtics jumped on it. I'm very shocked to not have heard anything about the Sixers trying to be involved in that deal. And who knows, behind closed doors, maybe the phone calls were made. But to that not be able to get done and for the Celtics to walk away, with Jrue Holiday, I mean, it's an easy upgrade. And, the top of the East, it's going to be stacked this year. I mean, I think Milwaukee and Boston have both really separated themselves from the rest of the pack at this point. And so we'll just kind of have to see how it plays out.
I wanted to talk about this. We kind of talked about it before the podcast started. Would you say that Miami or Philadelphia is a bigger loser in this, or is it kind of equal? Are they kind of fucked regardless?
I think the Heat will be able to survive. That they're basically running back the squad that they had last year, minus some of those ancillary pieces like Max Strus and Caleb Martin. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a shift. But I mean, those guys also weren't world beaters until that playoff run, right? Yeah. So who knows what kind of step back that they are going to take, if at all. I wouldn't expect them to be an 8 seed again. If you look at, my own personal rankings, they're probably the third best team in the East, just looking at it. I mean, you got to put them over the Sixers at this point. I mean, who knows what they're going to get out of James Harden. If they're going to get him at all, it sounds like he is going to, he's going to be reporting to camp, going to be there allegedly.
They said that the James Harden camp said that they're going to make it difficult for them. So I don't know if we're going to see some phones in pockets, as we saw with the great Ben Simmons, the defensive mastermind, the All-NBA Ben Simmons. I'm kind of nervous for the Philadelphia 76ers. Actually, no. Panic button is being pressed if I'm a Philadelphia 76ers fan.
Yeah, that Joel Embiid trade request is on the horizon. I mean,
smell that.
It's going to be tough. I don't know how you can keep that guy happy, especially when he looks around the league and sees what the Suns did, trying to build around Devin Booker, what the Bucks just did, building around Giannis, what the Celtics just did, building around Tatum and Brown. What are the Sixers doing for him? We live in a "what have you done for me lately" kind of world, and that's exactly what Joel Embiid's got to be asking Daryl Morey and the rest of the Sixers front office right now.
Yeah, no, like I said, being nervous is an understatement. If you are Daryl Morey over there with the Sixers, trying to keep your superstar MVP happy, Going back to the Celtics, I kind of want to dive into some of the trade details. In terms of Rob Williams being off the team, I know, I'm not sure, were you a big fan of Rob?
I wouldn't necessarily say a fan. There's the flashes of him seeing, being kind of, an upper echelon, a top half of the league center. But you also hear plenty of Celtics fans, see him online, hear him on their different podcasts. And probably in a similar boat to how a lot of Suns fans reacted to DeAndre Ayton. There was just highs and lows. And that was kind of the story of Rob Williams. So, I mean, you got a chance to go after a guy like Jrue Holiday, just with, 5-time all-defensive player, 2-time all-star. He's averaging, 19 points and 7 assists per game last year. I don't think you're losing much by swapping Robert Williams for him, especially if you're looking at Porzingus and you don't want to plan on a guy's not being healthy. So that's probably where the biggest issue is going to come from is, okay, well, now we don't have that extra big that can kind of fill that spot when Porzingus, inevitably gets hurt. So, if they can keep Porzingus healthy going into the playoffs, I think the Celtics are not going to be too worried about losing Rob Williams.
I hear you. And like I said, I think also another aspect of it is you would much rather put your money on hoping that Porzingus is going to be healthy rather than Rob Williams, because we saw over and over there were seasons where he's only playing 30 games, 29 games. We saw him play 55 games, which is a record for him. And even this last playoff series, there were some issues saying, is he going to play? His knee's kind of acting up again. Is he going to get surgery? It's just a whole lot of hoopla that you're not trying to worry about. And you're not going to invest all that. As great as he is on defense and as great of a vertical lob threat that he is not Tingus Pingus Kristaps out here. He had a phenomenal season last year. I think that went extremely under the radar. Not a ton of people are going to be watching some Washington Wizards games, especially them being in that middle of the pack, the no man's land area. But Porzingus can fucking hoop. I think a lot of people still have that Dallas image of him in their head with the complaining with Luka, kind of the under wrap stuff. And so I'm just very excited to see this team, see how they perform. Obviously, as a Suns fan, like you pointed to earlier, it's going to be nervous. It's going to be scary season. And I also think it's going to be a scary season for Celtics because this is also, would you say, the most all-in they've been in for a championship? Ever since 2008?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's probably the best way to put it. I mean, you'd like to think they kind of had pushed their chips in when they went after Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving in that one off season. But, this is probably, like you said, especially, getting off of Malcolm Brogdon here, there was plenty of issues internally with him and, his just overall, unhappiness with the team. And, it does seem like they are all in on a championship. And, we've got quite a few teams this year that have really gone all in. And I think that, in the last, decade in the NBA, we had seen a lot of just, Cavs, Warriors again. Whatever team LeBron was on was going to the finals. And now, I mean, you could pick any of these teams to win a championship. There's probably, there's 4 or 5 teams that, hell, maybe even 6 that have a legitimate shot at winning a championship this year.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. Could you go ahead and name those 6? Who are the 6 contenders right now in the NBA? Legitimate contenders, not some fucking, throwing in. As much as I love the Memphis Grizzlies, they're probably not going to be on that list for me.
They're 2 years away from being 2 years away.
Yeah, it went 1,000%. So can we hit you? TJ's list for the 6 contenders in the NBA.
Off the top, the first, as we've, been talking your ears off about so far, we got Milwaukee and Boston. Those are the first 2 that immediately come to mind. Up third, we got the Suns. We're not having this whole, we're not putting this whole podcast together probably if they're not, all in on this season. So those are the first 3. I'm never going to count out LeBron and that Lakers squad. They got a lot of pieces. Anthony Davis saying that he's going to try to play all 82 games.
Oh, brother.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh, brother.
I'm taking the under on his games played, no matter what they set the line at there. So you're going, you got the Lakers, the Warriors. You still can't count those guys out. So that puts me at what?
Is that Milwaukee, 6 right there?
Boston, Phoenix, LA, Golden State. And the 6th contender, I mean, why is it not the Miami Heat? We've seen it. 2 of the last 3 years, they've been in the finals.
Can you ever count out the Miami Heat? The zombies, as Simmons likes to call it, the zombies, the walking
zombie
zombies.
Heat, they just don't quit. They're not going to go away. They're going to cause a lot of problems for people. And, sorry to all the, sorry to the Philly fans out there. Oh, scratch that last team. The Denver Nuggets.
Oh my goodness. That might have to get edited out.
We're gonna get some hate online for that one. Sorry, Denver fans. We know.
I promise we fuck with you guys. I promise.
I promise it was an accident. I promise. Please don't come for us.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and scratch them out. We got Denver, we got the C's, we got the Bucks, we got the Suns, we got the Warriors. Are you still keeping the Warriors in there? Do you feel comfortable with them?
I feel more comfortable with the Warriors than the Heat.
Okay, I understand. I'm just a little nervous for Chris Paul and his position on that team. It feels like a diet version of Chris Paul. Even looking at him in a jersey with the Golden State Warriors, it feels like he should have the light.
Off. It looks a little off.
Bud Light, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's just a little off. Not a huge fan. But on that note, with our contenders, we're gonna go ahead and take a break here, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in, and we're back. And during the break, there was a little bit of a back and forth here. And I love to have this recorded right here because I'm a little fucking confused, if I'm being honest, TJ. I'm going to skip to all the bullshit. Do you really think that we lost this trade? The DeAndre Ayton trade?
Well, I think we lost it on a couple levels. I think first, why did we help the Bucks get that deal done? I know they're in the different conference, and that's a big thing they always talk about. Oh, we're not trading them within the conference. Oh, no, we can't do that. Why the hell are we helping them, Giannis Antetokounmpo, team up with Damian Lillard? I think we lost it from that perspective, from the competitive balance. The Suns, we spent all last week calling the Suns a super team. They have the 4th best odds to win the championship right now. If you look at any of the major betting sites, I mean, are they a super team anymore? I think that talk has kind of cooled off a little bit as of late.
Oh, we're not going to say that they're a super team?
I think when you're calling somebody a super team, they have to be the favorite.
Okay. Well, I hear you, but we're in a very stacked league, a very top-heavy league at the moment. I mean, we can go ahead and look at Milwaukee, how they match up. Like you said, it is looking far in the future, and they're not in the same conference, but I'm fairly confident with us beating the Denver Nuggets at the moment. Are you a little bit nervous?
I think Nurkic is going to provide some benefits to where Ayton kind of faltered. I still think we could have got a little bit more value out of DeAndre Ayton.
But the whole reason we couldn't is because teams saw the same shit as us, me and you. We saw tip drills with Nikola Jokic in front of him in playoff games. We saw him give up
Jokic
multiple times. Oh my goodness. I don't know about all. He did do it to everybody. I'll be fair, but I'm asking for effort out there. I don't give a fuck about the 18 and 11. I'm asking for effort.
Career 18 and 11.
That's fine. But we can go ahead.
Since 2018. That's 5 years.
Absolutely, but let's keep it a bean. How many times have we been blue-balled with 30-point games and 11 rebounds in a random regular season game from DeAndre Ayton? A few times. How many times have we asked him, hey, I understand you can put up numbers like this. Can you put in the dirty work for us in the biggest playoff moments? We haven't fucking seen it, if I'm being real. All those rebounds are not fought for. They're not contested rebounds. They're right to him. We could look over the film, and then we got this same dude all of a sudden acting like, oh, if I need to do the dirty work here in Portland, I'm more than able to. It's just a lot of hoopla. I'm not with it. What is your response to that?
No, and hey, I've always been pretty middle of the pack as far as it comes to DeAndre Ayton. You see the flashes of upside on our finals run. There was plenty of talk online, mostly by Suns fans, calling DeAndre Ayton, a top 5 center possibly at the time, or at least was kind of on that trajectory.
Okay, right? Yeah, yes.
And I think there was times where we could have got a lot better value out of Ayton if we ultimately knew that this was going to kind of fall apart. I mean, we saw the kind of the attitude issues with Monty Williams. It seemed like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant had kind of turned on him. So I understand that why the deal maybe had to be done now just for the locker room's sake. But I don't know if Jusef Nurkic is an upgrade there.
No, I hear you for sure. With Jusef Nurkic, though, we have to consider all things involved. So we're looking at Grayson now, and we're looking at Nasir Little. And even if these guys aren't playing, Keon Johnson, these are guys are on middle contracts to lower value contracts, and it's going to be much easier for us to move pieces if need so be within the trade deadline. I mean, we had a guy like DeAndre Ayton who was hard as fuck to get off because of that insane contract, and then we're going into purely
Indiana.
Appreciate it, assholes. And speaking of Indiana, so going back to what you were saying, if we should have traded him earlier, we were talking about in the break earlier, would you say you would trade Miles Turner for Buddy Hield at that time?
I think if that deal was actually on the table, which it sounds like it was based on any, the online discourse at least, I think something like that would have been a better upgrade. We know Miles Turner is more impactful defensively than Jusef Nurkic. You look at the Portland Trailblazers fans. I mean, they were probably just as frustrated with Nurkic as we were with Ayton, right? I mean, not exactly an elite pick and roll defender. Some of the, the general stat stuff is, solid, 13 points, 9 rebounds last season, 3 assists per game, which is solid for a big man playing that role. And something that, maybe we even need those assist numbers to tick up a little bit if he's playing off of guys like Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. One thing that did impress me, you saw some clips online with Nurkic, and he's got really good hands in the pick and roll. I mean, he'd been playing with Damian Lillard, so he knows how to run a pick and roll, and that's basically all we're going to need him to do. Not exactly a lob threat, but like you said, he's going to be doing the dirty work that Ayton won't necessarily be doing or had done in the past few years. Mm-hmm. So I do see what you're saying there, and I think Grayson Allen is actually a more valuable piece than he gets credit for.
You're making a damn good case over here for me, buddy. I like it. Keep on going. Keep going.
I gotta keep it honest for the people.
Keep going.
I can't lie to the people, man. But overall, Ayton's an 18-10 guy, a freak athlete. I wish we had given him a chance with Frank Vogel. Who knows if a coach can really change a player's mentality, especially that quickly. But I think if we had just given him a fair shot with this new coach, like we mentioned last week, he worked with Roy Hibbert. He's coached all-stars before, coached really good defenses. He revitalized Dwight Howard's career. I mean, whether you want to say that's Frank Vogel or LeBron James that did that, that's up to you to decide, people at home. But I just think that we shouldn't help Milwaukee get better, and there had to have been a better deal out there for the Suns than Jusef Nurkic replacing him at the 5.
I hear everything that you're saying, but reports even today suggest that, or at least DeAndre Ayton's media day suggested that he even requested for a trade. I mean, what that is implications at this moment, but he said, I appreciate Phoenix for how they handled everything towards the end there. And to me, that makes it sound like that there was a trade request and that there was just an irreparable relationship between the two. Even Devin Booker talked about it in his media day, saying how he does appreciate everything that Ayton does and how the trades are the worst part of this whole business. But the tone in which he came at was, and like I said, I don't want to be too picking away at things, but it did seem like the relationship was irreparable. It didn't matter if Frank Vogel was there. I think Ishaba, being a former player, can recognize, and being such a player-heavy first guy, can recognize that they weren't feeling him. I'm sorry. As Ice Spice once said, you thought I was feeling you? He was not being felt in the Suns organization. And so with that, I do want to talk specifically
then we need to issue an apology to Monty Williams.
To Monty Williams?
An official apology. I know he got paid, but we need to issue that guy an apology if we were just going to move off of Ayton anyway.
Okay, I hear you. The only thing is with that is I do think that Monty Williams' relationship bled into Devin Booker and Kevin Durant's. I'll put on the reports right here that there were issues with, it's going to sound crazy, but I'll throw it up here on the screen for us. There were issues with Monty Williams being too religious in the locker room with players, and that doesn't sit entirely well with younger players. And like I said, we'll see Yahoo reports. We'll see how insane the sources are, but you are right. I think Monty Williams did get fired in big part to DeAndre Ayton getting out of there. But like I said, anyway, moving on from that, I would like to specifically talk about the trade piece of Grayson Allen. I do want to bring up that even though we said we lost this trade, and you are focusing heavily on Nurkic, which I understand, but Grayson Allen can be a phenomenal six-man or, dare I say, starter at some point. Josh Okogie might be getting moved around there. Big fan of his, by the way. But Grayson Allen, I just want to bring up, he is the second best spot-up guy in the league last year with 1.26 points per possession. That is phenomenal. The spot-up guy with a team that has Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant, sign me the fuck up. And then we're talking about the defensive end. We got that Jrue Holiday over there, and I would never compare Grayson Allen to Jrue Holiday. Let's be real.
I think you just did.
No. He's a great chaser. I love the way that Grayson Allen plays on our team. Hate to play against him, obviously. Dirty ass dude. As a Suns fan, actually, no, he just plays hard. Hard-nosed guy. He's not a dirty guy anymore. Hard-nosed gentleman.
High basketball IQ.
Hey, he knows how to play the game. So you do think, as you were talking earlier, Grayson Allen is going to have a big effect? Is it everything? Is it nothing? Is it something? How do you feel about Grayson Allen's impact on the team?
No, I mean, looking at the roster, top to bottom, 6th, 7th man, depending on, obviously some nights, we're going to need to bring a big off the bench earlier, depending on what Nurkic is up to. But, Grayson Allen coming in, he can take some of the ball handling pressure off of other guys as well. He can kind of help initiate offense. Not saying that he's, a world beater at that position, but just, looking at his numbers from the last few years. I mean, against Miami in that playoff series, playing 29 minutes a game. Obviously they got whooped and spanked in that series. Yeah. Giannis had a broken back, but averaging, 11 points, 2 boards, 2 assists. Last year for the regular season, played 72 games. So, really durable, especially, by today's standards. I mean, 72 games feels unheard of when you're talking about some of these guys.
We're begging for 65 from these guys now.
27 minutes a game, he's averaging 10 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, solid numbers. And, one other stat, so you mentioned him, his reputation as being a dirty player. He said in his media day, he thinks that reputation comes from some of those Duke days when he was really immature. Like he was twisting guys' legs and stuff, just stuff that goes past the game of basketball.
Tripping people.
But he only averaged 1.5 fouls per game last year, which really kind of shocked me. I was expecting, we talk about him being so dirty. I don't know. I didn't look at the flagrant foul numbers, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. Maybe it was 1 flagrant a game, right? But overall, I mean, he's going to play good defense. He's going to shoot the ball. For his career, he's 50% from 2, or 50% from the field, 39% from 3, and 86% from the line. Last year, he was 51, 39.9, and 90% from the free throw line. I ran the numbers on his totals. If we just take away 1 missed 3 from him last season, he's in the 50, 40, 90 club.
Holy shit.
And if you talk about what the Suns need, it's shooting and it's defense, especially from that guard position. I know we still don't have a true point guard on the roster, which is another part of the reason why I don't totally love this trade. I would have loved to seen us get, a more pure point guard type, at least to kind of, come off the bench and run the offense with the bench group. But I mean, Grayson Allen's a pretty good consolation prize.
Wow. Yeah. I think you're doing a great job here, fighting for my side, but I do understand what you're saying in terms of, the DeAndre Ayton value. Will he be missed in Phoenix?
No.
I want to bring up a situation today, being a guy who's from Phoenix. I thought it was hilarious. Going out to Costco today, me and my friend were out
Costco
shopping.
Keeps the cost low.
Hey, keep it. Sponsor us.
Drop the bag, Costco. Drop the bag.
Fan of the show, Costco.
Friend of the program. Come on.
As I was getting my samples, the delicious samples from Costco, trademark, there was actually a person in front of us with his son, a grown man looking at his phone saying, "Dominating my ass." And I just thought it was a beautiful moment. It really encapsulates the whole areas how we feel about DeAndre Ayton. It was a guy that we had high hopes for, an Arizona guy that just didn't live up to expectations. We wanted a motor from him. We wanted a big man who's going to play like he has David Robinson physical measurements, which he does, ladies and gentlemen, just so you remember.
He does.
The vertical, same.
We all saw that picture at the combine.
Hey, let me see. Let me get on that DeAndre Ayton diet. But I just thought it was a correct representation, just to show how we see, even if he is in a different area that we see from afar, that DeAndre Ayton is, I don't know, it's just the antithesis of what we wanted in Phoenix, right?
The biggest thing was the frustration, and we talked about it when we touched on Rob Williams, but it's the highs and the lows of playing with Ayton. Mm-hmm. You'd see sometimes where he could catch the ball on a roll and, make kind of the Draymond Green pass to the corner, or he could catch it there and just dunk on whoever was at the rim. But then you see other times where he just kind of loses his confidence and start kind of, alligator arming shots up at the rim with not a real rim protector down there either. So it seemed a lot of it was a mental thing with DeAndre Ayton. Like you said, he had all the physical tools. I mean, as soon as he came into the league, he's playing with Devin Booker. He's not the number one option. And that's kind of the type of center DeAndre Ayton is. He's somebody that needs to get his touches early and often. And when, especially on this team, I mean, he was going to be the 4th option. That's just not the best spot for him. Jusef Nurkic does slide much better into that, 5th option role. I mean, we're not going to be drawing up any sets for Jusef Nurkic. And, that's kind of that trade-off there where Jusef Nurkic maybe isn't as high impact on like his best plays, but his floor is going to feel higher than Ayton's just because of, the frustrations that have been going on since he'd been in Phoenix. And I think, one more point about Ayton, I think I've said this to you a few times, but the biggest problem for him with Suns fans is that he wasn't Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
when you see a guy like that get drafted after him, you just, especially how we've seen Luka grow and dominate the Suns in that playoff series. I think that just kind of leaves a more sour taste in your mouth. If we had taken DeAndre Ayton, 7th or 8th, maybe we're not even having this conversation, and maybe he just understands his role a little bit better. But coming in as the number 1 pick where you're immediately just pushed behind Booker, then, you got Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, who really took leaps ahead of him as far as scoring options. And then, bring in Kevin Durant, bring in Bradley Beal. That's just not the role that he's built for. I'm definitely rooting for him in Portland. That he's gonna put up a lot of shots out there.
I was just gonna ask, what do you see his numbers being like over there? And you are, you said, you're gonna be rooting for him. You're not mad at the guy. He's gonna do better on a team that's not looking to contend immediately.
Exactly. He's gonna be. I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up 23 points, 12 rebounds. Shooting, maybe not a great percentage, but a solid percentage. Obviously, they're not going to be winning a lot of games. It depends on, kind of what we see from Scoot early on. I mean, I'm really impressed by Scoot and think that he's going to be, he's my pick for rookie of this year.
Here right now, we're big Scoot guys here.
Big Scoot guys. Shout out to the homegrown Georgia product out there.
Hey.
Scoot's the man. And, I think him and Ayton could be really fun running partners to see together. So, they definitely want all the best for Ayton. He gave us 5 good years. He was a big part of us getting to the finals. And, some things have to come to an end sometimes, though.
I hear you. And I think maybe it's going to be a better environment for him to play 2K at, which I know he's just a huge fan of more than playing real basketball. But I do want to transition this back over into the Phoenix Suns aspect. Like I said, I think with Ayton, I do think that me and you are on the same page in a sense. I'm just a little more pessimistic towards his attitude and what he could have provided to this team, even with Frank Vogel being here and able to lead him. I did want to ask you, though, TJ, real quick. Do you know how many guys we have on the roster right now?
It's like fucking 20, isn't it?
19 fucking guys on the roster.
Who's getting cut?
So that's the thing is, the first one that I wanted to mention, and this one is the saddest for me personally. We didn't know this guy, but he was definitely involved around our lives, being in the high school basketball program during the same time that he was. Our guy Saban Lee is probably going to be off the team, right? He's already on a 2-way. He's the only guy that's on the team that's on a 2-way. What do you think?
Well, maybe him already being on the 2-way means we're going to keep him. Right? You can already just send him down to the G League team, let him get his reps. I mean, who knows? We actually did spend, a fair amount of time talking about him last week.
Yeah.
He's a real athlete. He's an NBA level athlete.
Mm-hmm. He was teased a little bit as being some point guard minutes at points, right? Throughout the season last year.
We're going to need guards.
Yeah.
And so I think, when you start looking at who's going to be kind of on the chopping block, I think you got to start looking, kind of those close to being, 3-and-D guys. Who knows if Keon Johnson sticks around? Who knows if even Nasir Little sticks around?
Yeah.
It's going to be some tough decisions for the team. I hope we can keep Saban Lee around. I mean, he's a homegrown Arizona product. Shout out to Corona del Sol High School, Tempe, Arizona.
Yep.
I want to say he was he a 2-time state champion?
Yeah. Did he play with Marvin or no?
He was on the team his Marvin Bagley's freshman year.
Yeah, stacked team. Great squad.
Did lose to Mesa High in 2016. Shout out to the Jackrabbits out there.
Shout out to the Jackrabbits. So we got Saban Lee. You might be right. We're going to keep him there and send him down to the G League. One guy, and I don't want to be harsh because I know he puts out effort out there. I love to see how he plays, but Ish Wainwright, you are not getting any minutes this year. I'm just keeping it a buck.
Sorry, Ish.
I love Ish Wainwright, but there was a weird infatuation that Monty Williams, I felt like, had with Ish Wainwright, consistently putting him out in big-time moments, trusting his 3-ball, giving him the green light, and you'd think with that kind of frame, he'd be able to be somewhat of a stopper or slower down for other people, but last time I checked, Ish Wainwright was getting dogged by any power forward that's out there in the league.
Better in theory than in practice, yeah, I think.
Absolutely. He is the definition of a football player playing basketball. Very overconfident.
I hear what you're saying there.
I'm sorry. I'm not
Dash.
trying to be disrespectful to Ish, but I'm just saying in terms of the build, in terms of the play style, in terms of the confidence, it ended up hurting us in a lot of moments last year. I feel like there was a lot of games, especially towards the end of the regular season last year, that we didn't necessarily lose because of him, but there were moments where it's just kind of bonehead mistakes from Ish and getting incredibly too much minutes. I mean, I'm fine with Ish Wainwright getting 8-7 minutes type ordeal, but the man was like getting 20 at some points last year. But do you think he's going to be staying on the team?
I think he might be, near the top in terms of,
who's getting booted,
who's going to be booted. I'm sure he'll get picked up by another team in the league. I think he is a real NBA player there. Like we said, it's going to be some tough decisions to filling out the end of that roster. But, I'd rather be in a situation where we got to, make decisions on, keeping the best players rather than, be scrambling to fill out the roster. I mean, really shout out to James Jones, the way that he filled out the roster, signing all these different guys that we, covered it in the last episode a little bit more in depth. But yeah, it's going to be tough. I don't know if I even feel comfortable trying to guess what they're going to be doing. I mean, who knows?
I was saying, as you alluded to earlier, we do need guard play. And so this guy, Jordan Goodwin, I don't think is going to be staying out there with the Suns. I mean, he's 25 years old, which is not old by any means whatsoever. But when you put up averages like 6, 3, and 3 on poor 3-point percentage, what do you bring to the table in that aspect? Maybe he's an awesome locker room guy. Maybe he's, like I said, a practice dude. I just don't see a guy that's averaging 6, 3, and 3 on atrocious 3-point percentage sticking on the team. I also wanted to go to Udoka Azubuike. I'm pretty confident they're also cutting him. Like I said, you don't hear a lot about these guys. I mean, some of these guys were on the end of the bench for like those Spurs teams, or they're on the end of the bench for some, not as winning teams. Chimetzi Mitu, I don't think he's going to be staying on the team. Metsu, my bad, yeah. And then Keon Johnson, as you alluded to earlier. I mean, he is a guard. He could potentially be out there making plays for us as we do need them. But, man, I just don't know. There's so many goddamn people on the team.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard of them ever having 19 guys on the roster before.
Pretty sure it's not allowed.
Definitely jumped off the page once you first saw the trade come in. Only giving up, DeAndre Ayton and then Tumani Kamara, and getting back, four guys, 2 of them that we expect to really be, high end rotation players for the roster. Hopefully these guys are working hard in training camp and at their media days, and hopefully their agents are on the phone getting ready.
No, I think you're right. And the last thing I wanted to add with this part of the having so many people is, do you think that there's any possibility that Phoenix is looking to get draft capital at all, since we have absolutely zero for what the next feels like 30 years? Do you think that we're going to be looking at that at all, or is this purely a win now mode and that we probably just couldn't even get capital for these guys?
I just don't see it being realistic for us to get, even, second round picks. I mean, we're definitely not getting a first round pick for any of those guys.
Absolutely not.
I mean, that would just be, a prayer if we got one of those. So I think this just ends up being, these guys just end up going on, going to the waivers.
Cut your losses.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the only real option. I mean, James Jones is probably putting in phone calls, probably putting plenty, saying, hey, hey, San Antonio, you guys need Ish Wainwright? We can take a 2031 second round pick. Could turn into, whatever, a current 8th grader, right? That's who they're trading for. I don't necessarily see it. I think we're just going to, need to dance with what we have. We kind of mortgage the future for these next couple years.
Are you happy about that?
I'm thrilled about it. After having an owner like Robert Sarver for the last, for my entire life, that was just unwilling to spend the money, unwilling to go on the luxury tax, trading away Joe Johnson, right, just to avoid having to pay him. I would much rather be on this side of the things where, hey, Matt Ishbia is a billionaire. His mortgage company's still bringing in dough for him. Let's keep the checkbook open, man, because we're going to need it.
As I like to hear. And with all that change that we're talking about, new owners, I think it's a good time to take a break. Talk about a new change in the NBA as well, the in-season tournament.
Disgusting.
Woo! Bring some excitement to the league. Coming up next. And we're back. Coming in with a topic that I'm pretty passionate about. I'm pretty happy about, being a guy who is looking for change, always a progressive, some would even say, unlike my contrarian friend over here. We're talking about the in-season tourney, and I am excited. There's a reason to give a fuck for the beginning of the season. It's awesome. I'm so sick and tired of hearing. I'm so sick and tired of hearing NBA fans or NBA casuals, complain about how boring the regular season is, and we're all just waiting for the playoffs to start. Here's a reason to give a fuck. I know we got our man over here with a little bit different of an opinion. Would you like to lead us off, TJ?
Yeah, so, just kind of want to dive into the history of in-season tourneys, just in basketball as a whole. we've seen it used in the WNBA now. The college basketball, they always have their, special holiday tournaments, whether it be, the preseason things like the Maui Gym Invitational or things like that. It doesn't, it can kind of get the juices flowing there. We see the high school tournaments, it's a big thing, especially in Arizona, whatever Christmas tournament that you get invited to, whether you're traveling out of state or if it's just, kind of battling in state with some of your in-state rivals. But here in the NBA, at the professional sports level, why the hell do we need to care about a midseason tournament?
Oh, brother.
It's a glorified participation trophy for a mediocre team to run through, win a handful of games that don't matter. They matter. Don't let this guy tell you that these games are going to matter. They're the regular season still. We're still fighting for a championship. And what are the odds that star players actually care about winning an extra $500,000 for some mediocre make-believe tournament?
Leaders like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, who have multiple guys on cheap contracts on their team to go ahead and play for them. They're going to go ahead and ball their asses out because they got teammates to look after. Devin Booker makes sure his people are fed, okay? I know him personally.
They're going to sit out and let Keita Bates-Diop shoot 30 times in a game because he's the one that needs the $500K.
Because he needs it. I'm sure he's probably going to ball his ass out going for it.
If there's one thing about the in-season tournament, with all the Suns, league minimum guys on the roster, maybe we got a good chance to win it. I am praying that we don't, because that just sets up the worst jokes come playoff time and you get sent home early and, oh, yeah, you won the in-season tourney. Oh, congratulations. No, it's a waste of time. First off, you're right. Credit to them for trying something new and trying to create a little bit more excitement in the league during those, during those dog days months, right? But the way the group play set up is just stupid. You got the in-season tournament games on Tuesdays and Fridays in in the month of November.
Yep,
right?
Month of November.
Why the hell don't you just have 2 weeks of just only group play games? Why the hell do we have to sprinkle this shit in and just give us a taste of it? If you want to do an in-season tournament, do an in-season tournament. Don't make it like it's trying to be the regular season at the same time. Fans are going to get confused. They aren't going to like it. I mean, maybe it'll be cool to have a lot of games on Tuesdays and kind of set it up like an NFL broadcast where you can do kind of the quad view. Hopefully YouTube TV's listening and getting that set up already.
Please do.
But I don't get it. It's stupid that it's mixed up. It's stupid that we're supposed to care more, that these guys, these millionaires, are going to get an extra $500,000. It's $500. I know it's $500,000. That is a lot of money to people like you and me. It's not a lot of money to Kevin fucking Durant.
No, you're absolutely right. But the thing is, so let me go ahead and explain it for our viewers who don't know right away, because I think it's important to know some of these details. A quick rundown. Each team plays each other in their group once, 2 home and 2 away in the month of November, as you alluded to. Games are played on Tuesdays and Fridays. If you win, you move on. Teams that didn't make it in each conference but had the best record gets a wild card spot. So those people go in there. The team to make it to the end will play an 83-game season, which I understand. No. Hear me out. An 83-game season. Having that one extra championship game being played in Vegas, going ahead and alluding to more of an expansion, as your LeMickey boy is probably excited about that, being the future owner of the Vegas team. And then the winners on the team will get $500,000 for each player, as you said. So, you know what I'm saying, going right into it, with your capitalist propaganda that you always spread everywhere. I know you're mad that the NBA is losing out on money, but like I'm saying, there are people who need this money. I'm sorry. And Keita Bates-Diop, it's a different scenario. And I'm not trying to be the guy that's like, oh, taxes here and there, but these guys are taking pay cuts. Yuta Watanabe is doing whatever he can. I'm sure Yuta could have probably got a contract for around $8 million on another team, $7 million to the Rockets or something, but he's here to win games, and this is another incentive for their star players to go ahead and help out their players. And it gives them more incentive to, how do I say this, to try harder, in a sense that we're going to get more competitive games during this time. And like you said, during the break,
we might. The goal is to get more competitive games. I don't think NBA players are going to care. I don't think they're going to think that this Tuesday game, oh, guys, hey, oh my God, it's group play, guys. We really got to get back on defense tonight. Oh my God, we cannot, no plays off. There's no tomorrow, guys. It's the in-season tournament. This is
You're anti-fun, Tyler, okay?
I'm pro-competitive basketball. And I don't think this is the answer. I think it's going to be bad for player health if they do actually just all of a sudden do crank up the intensity, which, like I said, I don't think they will. I think these games are going to look awful a lot like games that are played in, any other November and the rest of the year, right?
So you think the NBA is just so much different compared to leagues such as like soccer, for example, where league games are extremely important to them, whereas tradition, we have to start somewhere, right?
Does the NFL have an in-season tournament?
The NFL, you're the type of guy that wants the NFL to play 82 games a season.
Does
so
Major League Baseball play an in-season
they
tournament?
play 192 games.
162.
160.
Come on,
sorry, whatever the fuck. Nobody watches that boring ass sport.
Hey. Shout out to all the baseball fans out there still holding it through.
My apologies.
Still holding it down. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
My apologies. The sport's moving on. We've noticed a decline in baseball. Baseball has been dying since the 90s.
I'm going to give another little. I'm going to go
since the 20s.
Going into the TikTok camera here for this rant. They've been saying baseball's dying since 1890. You can find articles every decade saying that baseball's going to die. Just like how you can find every year, this new generation doesn't want to work. Because everybody says it about the younger kids, because everybody gets old and gets angry and hates young and new things. And maybe that's how I sound with this in-season
yes.
tournament, but I'm not here for it. Okay, I'm here for it. I'm gonna watch every game. I'm gonna watch the championship. But it's gonna be, like I said, I think it's gonna be bad for player health if they do turn it up. We had to change the rules to get guys to play 65 games. Now we're going to expect a team that wins the championship, who we assume is going to be, somewhat of a contender, right? Or at least in the playoff picture is going to win the in-season tournament. And now they have to play an extra game. Who the hell wants to do that? If you're LeBron James, if you're Anthony Davis, do you give a damn about this in-season tournament? If you're Damian Lillard, I guess maybe Giannis will care. I can see Giannis caring about this.
Giannis would randomly care, yeah. Okay,
Jokic doesn't even care about winning the championship.
He doesn't even want to be here.
He's just getting a paycheck.
No, you're absolutely right. And so let's go off of the assumption that everything that you said is correct. The stars aren't going to care. We got the big teams that are not giving a fuck. As a basketball head such as yourself, don't you want to care and see people playing in a semi-competitive way? We got guys like OKC that have some stellar talent who, if we're being fair, could even make themselves I don't know about a playoff run, but
a pseudo contender.
A pseudo contender, absolutely. We could see them being competitive. We can see people like the Rockets, a lot of young guys being in a competitive setting where there are stakes on the line. I'm just a big fan of being able to see good competitive basketball at any level. And like you said, if we do get to the point where we got teams like the Bucks making it there, we got teams like Phoenix making it there, and who are in the finals just sitting their guys or not going full blown, I'm more than happy to accept defeat on this. But I am just saying that we cannot be anti-fun. We cannot be anti-change. It's a new era. LeBron James is leaving the league extremely soon, and we need to switch things up.
Are we sure?
We have a phenomenal, talented league. Absolutely.
We need sure LeBron's leaving? That's what I'm pointing at. Are we sure LeBron's ever going to stop this?
LeBron's got 15 more years, okay?
It doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon, fellas. I'm sorry.
To be on a quick tangent, with LeBron James, does he have the potential to be like the best six man? Can you get a 6-man player of the year at 50 years old? Can we see that?
That's my dream.
That would be the coolest thing ever.
He's coming off the bench for Bronny.
Oh my, and Cleveland or something, or for the T-Wolves.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That'd be sexy.
We'll see.
I would love to see something like that. Well, I'm trying to think who's another player that could age well. Could you see Steph staying on the Warriors till hella old, or did he come off more like a family guy who's gonna
I think that guy loves playing basketball.
I do too.
I think he wants to get away from his wife. Just kidding. Sorry, Ayesha. Don't come on the program, Ayesha. Come defend your husband for us.
Show us how to cook. Well,
shout out to Ayesha.
Well, on that note, guys, I think this is a good little section to wrap it up. We're about an hour into the pod already, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this podcast. Pleasure having you in real life. It's awesome to see you. We probably won't get another one for a minute if we're being honest, right?
It might be a while.
Ooh, Is that it right there?
Yeah, that was good. I felt like that was a proper ending.